Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our office for the day. I'm hanging out with Barry Spruce, nature photographer out of Tennessee. So thank you so much for hanging out with us today, Barry.
Oh, it's a privilege to be here. I'm looking forward to checking out Minnesota.
Yeah, absolutely. To begin with, we want to know what you bring with you today to photograph with. What's in your bag?
Okay, so what's in the bag? Currently using Nikon gear.
Okay.
I have a 2 setup system going right now. This is on my tripod. I have a Nikon Z8 with a 24 to 120.
Okay.
And then handheld, I have a Z50 Nikon with a 180 to 600. That's if I do see some wildlife while I'm doing landscape shots on the lake, I can transition back and forth real quick.
Cool. So when you are out photographing, most of the time I see you're just distracted by all the things happening around us. It never fails. We start to talk and then all the wildlife comes out. Yeah. Is this normally how you go? You've got 2 setups that you're
I wouldn't say
use?
all the time, but I do promote that, and I like to use it myself. More times than not, I've gotten shots that I wouldn't normally get by having this setup ready just in case something would happen with wildlife while I'm doing landscape photography.
Cool. And you just got back from Ely, Minnesota.
I did.
Last night. And then we're up here today. We're working you hard. So how was your experience up in Ely, and what were you looking for up there?
So this is my first time to Minnesota, period. And so there was a little bit of research, but knowing that when you're in Ely, you're more boreal. So your wildlife species are going to be more Canada type animals and birds. I had to prepare for that a little bit and used a guide up there that was local, born and raised, so that we could have better opportunity to get the wildlife that's there. And whereas here in the southern part of the state, we're going to do a little bit of landscape photography today. And one of the things we've noticed with wildlife tends to be like bald eagles and things that are prone to be near or on the river.
We're going to let you get to work, and we're going to capture behind the scenes and just learn from you today. So again, thank you for sharing with us.
So one of the things I was doing when we were driving, it was checking out the tree species to see if it's hardwood, softwood. That tells you a little bit about what wildlife might be here. So if you see something like this log on the ground, if that looked like it'd been tore apart by a critter, it probably could be a bear looking for termite. So those are the type of things that I'm looking for. So we got a red squirrel just crossed the path. Red squirrels are unique because they have a really nice white eye ring around the eye. Shows up really good in photography. Also watch the ground for any kind of tracks. It's not very wet right now, so you won't see too much for imprint. The other thing about it being dry is it's hard for us to get close to things without them knowing, because it does make a lot of noise with the crunching of leaves and stuff, but the trail is pretty good. It's not making too much noise. So I'm gonna stop here just because I just realized that I haven't got my settings for this, how dark it is in here. So I wanna make sure that my camera's ready. In general, speed-wise, 1/400th would capture most things walking. So as long as they're at a slower pace, I should be able to capture that without motion blur. And then I keep my f-stop in the lowest setting. And then the ISO, whatever equivalent I need for the exposure to be correct. And I do use spot metering so that if it's like a black bear or something that's really dark, it will meter off in the black bear. So this is a spillway, and although it doesn't have any water right now, that doesn't help us to identify what might be here. One thing about a spillway, if the acorns start dropping, a lot of them will get underneath the rocks and stuff like that. So if they've already eaten out an area from the acorns, they can be hiding underneath these rocks. So you can find different animals looking for acorns in that area. So doing both landscape and wildlife photography in a location like this, I've been looking for an opportunity to do a landscape, and seeing this rock line going away from me, I like the idea of the bough of the tree as well. For this particular shot, I used f/14, and I wanted to keep my ISO at a base of about 200, and by doing so, my speed turned out to be 1/40th of a second. When I'm talking to people and we're doing landscape, if I'm doing like one of my classes from the college, one of the things I do is I take up my cell phone, I look around, and in the old days we used to, maybe go like this, something that would show us the size. But I'll take a cell phone now and I'll take an image of what I'm seeing, then I'll show it to them, then I'll ask them to photograph that, but then I'll say, now everyone here find your own composition that's different than this. And then one of the things I'll tell them is, the way we can change this is we can get down lower, we can get up taller, we can go left, we can go right. Don't forget that your walking ability really can help. Just a couple feet can help the composition. All right, so this tree ahead of us, this has had some woodpecker damage, and some of this looks like it's very, very old pileated woodpecker. So the pileated woodpecker is one of the woodpeckers that usually makes more of a rectangular shaped hole, as opposed to other birds will just do a round hole. So where this is in a white pine, it looks like they were actually trying to take beetles or some type of grub out of the bark itself. I try to know as much about my subjects as I can. And then my love for nature, even as a child, just developed into first a passion hobby, and turned second career about 18 years ago. So I have done this and loved this before I even did this professionally. And the reason that I had cameras so young was because I did enjoy that. And it wasn't just cameras. So to go out and purchase a vehicle that could go backwoods, and then to buy a canoe that I could strap on top of my little truck that I had. This is all part of a process, and wanting to know more about nature. And we say landscape photography and we say wildlife photography, but this is about learning about nature. And ultimately, by knowing more about it, you can anticipate it more, and then you can challenge yourself to capture more and more of its beauty. Oh, that's perfect. So just to give you an idea, let's just show y'all. So this is what we just photographed. So it's very dark in here. I'm using that 400 speed we talked about, so that way when it was actually itching itself and stuff, maybe that's fast enough to capture that. And the lowest that this lens goes is 6.3 in aperture. So I was shooting at 6.3, and the ISO had to be at 6400. So the great thing about mirrorless cameras is, and these newer cameras, the ISO settings, you can shoot in higher ISO than we used to be able to shoot, and the pixelation isn't as bad. Much better than DSLRs that we used to use. 6400 I'm comfortable with. Once I go above that, I'm expecting there to be some pixelation, just depending how high it is. So this is a raptor nest, so I'm going to try to look at it and tell whether it's probably a bald eagle nest. But around December, the male and female eagle will find themselves again if they've been separated for a while. And then once they do that, then they confirm their courtship by building the nest and adding things to it. So they might add another layer to the nest. Then they'll actually breed and continue to do that a few times. Yeah, I love this. It's nice. All right, you want to talk about settings? So we're still fortunate to have sun off our left shoulder here. Of course, when you have light coming in from a 90-degree angle like that, polarizer would work really good again, because that's when they work ideally, when they're coming from either 90-degree left or right. And what the polarizer can do is just take a little bit of the sharp light off the top of these rocks that are light gray colored. It also will keep your true color in your trees and stuff. And if you don't want reflection on the water, it would neutralize that as well. But what I've done here is started with a base of ISO 100, and I'm shooting in f/18 at 1/40th of a second. And the other thing I'm doing is including this green tree limb above, so that it will not have a sky topping, but more of a green color to add more color to it. And my focal point is going to be at this tree that's right past this rock here. But this really shows the river, how it's cut the canyon into the gorge here, or cut the river's cut into the rock, I should say, creating the gorge. And very pretty. And of course because we have favorable lighting, we can actually see a lot of detail in all the cliffs. That's a nice location. We're up high here, so we do have to shoot down a little bit. We can't shoot real level. Now, if we had a better sky, we could shoot a little more level, include like white puffy clouds or whatever might help, rainbow, whatever it could be. But at this point, I would rather focus on the river and the gorge itself. So I did a lot of things during the boat sequence. So when the boat came around the corner, I realized that I was going to have opportunity for video and photography, but I set my video first to make sure I could get it coming around that corner. And then after I got the video I wanted, I switched it over to photography, and it has completely different settings. So I had to put it into a similar setting and then took some shots of it. Then when I laid down, I took some photography of it coming right underneath me, but then went back to video to get the video of it basically moving slowly toward this other boat with the perfect lighting behind us. Had to really be careful with a white subject not to blow it out. So I was shooting it almost like a landscape setting. I think I had it in f/11. One, it's a big boat, and two, so you want the beginning and the end of the boat all sharp. But also that will help to take a lot of the hot highlight off from it. Oh wow. Yeah, that amount of water works really good for doing soft water. If you get too much of that, it'll be too bright, and also the sun's not hitting it, so it's not going to blow it out. So this might be a really good opportunity. Okay, so I'm isolating on the middle. It's very dark, but that's okay. It kind of helps with this. We want to shoot slow. In general, to do soft water like this on a waterfall, I like to be somewhere between a 1/4 and an 1/8 usually. All depends on how dark the scene is. So I started with that. I'm at a 1/4 of a second right now. Still keeping my ISO at 100, and I am at f/11 right now. So this waterfall doesn't have much depth to it, so you don't have to worry about having a lot of depth of field. And I'm just going to take one shot here and see what the softness looks like. And that milky look looks pretty good right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to square up just a little bit better than what I had. And make sure the waterfall is where I want it in the frame. And that looks pretty good. And I'm going to do that same setting and look at my results. So one of the things I want to do is put the waterfall a little further to the left in my frame and still keep it level. And now I'm going to try to let in just a little more light. So kind of do my own style of bracketing, I guess. And actually I'm going to do that by changing the f-stop and keep that 1/4 of a second. So I went to F10 now to let in just a little more light. So one of the things about this is the surrounding is really dark. So I'm going to try, because of that, to bring the ISO up to 200 and see if I can manipulate it just a little bit. The bottom part has got some hot water on it. It's got a lot of light, so I don't think I want to photograph that. And I'm not seeing much further down. It looks like the top part's going to be too difficult to get, and also you got varying light above the waterfall, so I don't like any of that as well. So I think the middle is definitely the shot. The only other shot would be above the log to get some of that little trickle. And believe it or not, when you're doing waterfalls, it doesn't really matter on the size too much. It matters how much of the water takes up and fills up the composition.
Hey everybody, we have had an outstanding day with Barry, and the things that you've shared with us today that are come so easy to you,
yeah.
I'm really excited to see what people's feedback is to that, and we get a glimpse into how your brain works. Is this just, do you just go nonstop all the time?
Yeah, you know, it's not a negative thing, but actually having this type of mentality, I use it all the time. So it is something that I don't turn off very often. So,
yeah. Oh, so, you were saying your friends are like, Barry, yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Relax a little bit, you know, and I do relax, but I'm always looking and always just wondering where something is, especially if I'm outside. So inside I can get away from it a little bit, but outside, no.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, so starting off the day, we had landscape lessons, and we found that cute little red squirrel that just stopped and posed for you. That was very nice of him. Chasing different birds, a snake at the end, a waterfall.
A little bit of everything.
A gorge, a riverboat.
So I would sum that up as we had perfect weather. Even the lighting actually was really to our favor most of the day.
Yep.
So you can't go wrong. I mean, you're out in nature and you're doing what you love.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a great quote right there. So thank you again.
Oh, thank you.
For sharing with us. And I know everybody's going to enjoy this. And this is exactly what we were hoping, to get into your brain, you know, and to see how you think a little bit.
I enjoyed that, and I actually was really happy with how the day went. I mean, we had a great time, and it's really easy when you're outside and you're doing something you love, like I said a minute ago. Absolutely.
And now it's time for lunch.
Oh, that's even better.
Awesome. And we really appreciate you joining along. We hope you've really enjoyed hanging out with Barry today, getting into his head, knowing what he watches for, and learning all about nature photography. Thanks for joining us.